Welcome to the third installment of Ask a Queen. It's our new way to waste time on Facebook during quarantine. Every Wednesday at 6:55 or just whenever, we'll go live and answer your questions about life, love, and relationships because it's hump day and we've got nothing better to do. So you can send your questions in advance to askaqueen@ggfnc.org. Or you can ask us in the comments. We'll answer as many as we can. And let me tell you, we've got some great questions this week. We're also going to be joined by our special guest, Adriana Adams from Triad Health Project. I'm your host, Jennifer Roop, and joining me live from her dressing room is my co-host. It's our green queen of bingo, former Miss Piedmont USA, and the woman voted most likely to suffer a neck injury from wearing gigantic earrings. Welcome, Fuchsia Rage.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hey. How are you doing?
Soup, y'all.
Yeah. It's like soup outside today.
Oh my gosh, I know. Look, I went to the stylist. Don't tell nobody. I don't want to get sued to be up on TV like that football player today. But I went to the stylist and I walked out into the rain. And honey, look, it's black and white and it's gray at the bottom. I'm suing. If it wasn't a wig and I didn't buy it this way, I'd have sued.
Yeah, you should.
The rain messed up my dye job. I ran out of peroxide. Times are hard.
I refuse to go outside in this weather. It is nasty out there.
It is gross. I don't like it. No, it's not queen friendly. No. All of this cannot get wet. Okay?
No, we do not want that to happen.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It looks like a Barbie. It got way too close to a candle.
You melted all.
Not cute.
Okay. So if you
how was your hump day?
My hump day's been all right. I mean, it's been in the house today. I got a big project I want to work on, but I can't go outside because it's raining. So I've just been working, stuff like that. Getting back to the grind. Things are starting to crank back up.
I know it's hard in the world for a white woman.
Well, I don't know about that. All right, so Fuchsia, we've got some really good questions today. Like our audience really good
so excited.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say on some of the topics that are coming up. But first, let's talk to Adriana Adams with Triad Health Project. She's joining us today. Hey, Adriana.
Hey, Adriana.
How are you ladies doing today?
Fabulous.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's a rainy Wednesday in quarantine with 3 elementary school age children, but other than that, we're good.
Did you say 3 elementary school children?
Yes, I have 3 of those.
How many did you start quarantine with?
7, no. 3, and there will be no more children added to that either.
Yes.
Quarantine.
She said, Mama got off the baby train. Okay? Mama got off the baby train.
Right.
So how are you handling working and teaching kids?
I think that you can only do one thing really, really well at a time. And so the other thing is just going to have to be done at a different percentage of well, right? So you just do what you can. And I think their teachers have been wonderful in accepting that and knowing that right now, my focus is really what Triad Health Project is doing. And I love my children and their school is important to me. But we knew when we entered into this thing that we were going to do what we could do. And then, and I've been really blessed. I have extremely bright, wonderful children who are great readers. And so we read a lot and they read a lot. And if they're reading, they're learning is kind of my philosophy. So
Are they Harry Potter fans?
Well, my oldest is especially. I have a little girl who just turned 10, and she is a huge Harry Potter fan. As a matter of fact, her 10th birthday was all about Harry Potter. So,
What's her house?
Gryffindor. She is like a total Gryffindor fan.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Gryffindor too, Fuchsia? That
I
doesn't.
think so. I think that's what somebody told me. I mean, I read the books and then I saw, okay, I lied. I watched the movies because I'd never heard of this before. This was back when it first came out, long time ago. So I saw the movies and I read the books, and of course I was a reader as a child. I would go to the bathroom and read the back of the toilet paper contents. You know, I read everything, the back of the cereal box. It didn't
You're like under the sink, looking like.
Yeah, I'm like, what does that do? How does this work? Because you know, I was going to comment on that. That is awesome. You know, yes, reading is education, because if you can read, you can do anything. Because there's instructions for most everything. I mean, you can fly a plane, you can, you can run a country. No, you can't do that because reading isn't necessary for that, evidently. But that's another stuff. My chair is giving me a fit, girls. So, Adriana, you're from the Triad Health Project.
Yes.
So we all locally know that as THP.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about THP. What does it do? A little bit of its history, and what is your role there at the organization?
Yeah, so Triad Health Project is Guilford County's leader in sexual health. Our mission is really to see our area, but more than that, further out than that, free from HIV. That's the big picture. And then what we want to do is we want to care for people. We want people to see really their lives and what they have going on, free of stigma as well. So we want people who are their loved ones who might have HIV as well. And to really see that their life doesn't end if they have a diagnosis. That also there's so many drugs and things available to people that can live and prepare themselves. So there's a great drug called PrEP that we want to get people on if they are living a lifestyle that might make them more susceptible to HIV. And we want to train and educate people. And that's really our main purpose, is education. So whether that is about contacting and connecting with youth in the area, whether it is about getting out into the community and connecting with people who might be in a geriatric age and saying, hey, you need to come and get tested. We provide free STI testing. We provide education, and then we also provide case management for those living with HIV, so they can set goals for themselves and really see their life as not ending when they get that diagnosis.
Right. Well, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, that would lead me into my next question. So, given that you do all this work with people and folks living with HIV, given that we're in a pandemic of another very communicable disease, except this time it can be transferred from, I guess, this is something that's in the air, moisture. It can be passed from one person to the next, but a little bit easier than the HIV that we are experiencing. So what has this pandemic not only had an effect on the organization, but on those people living with HIV? Has it slowed down the process of medications or doctor's appointments? What does that look like?
Right. So I think we're dealing with what a lot of businesses, organizations, and especially nonprofits are dealing with. I'm the director of philanthropy and community engagement at the organization. So my job is to make sure that the community is engaged and connected in what we're doing at Triad Health Project. So we've really tried to hop on and make sure that the community can engage with us in other ways and know that we're still active, we're still working, we're still trying to connect our community, our folks that are living with HIV with their healthcare. Make sure the first step was saying, hey, we don't know really, and the doctors don't know if this is going to impact those living with HIV differently. That was the first thing, because we don't even know how it impacts people who are healthy. Really, honestly, there's a lot of question marks. But we do know that if you are on your meds, you have a better shot. And so make sure that you're on your meds, you're checking in with your doctor, that you have that communication. So that was the first thing. And then we've connected with a great friend in Kenyon Farrow of thebody.com. He was on our show that we've started putting on weekly on Fridays called Lunch for Friends. We put it out on Facebook Live, just like you guys are doing. And it's a great publication that is you can access for free online called thebody.com. And they are constantly updating their info for anyone and for people specifically living with HIV on how you should be really connecting with COVID-19 info. And they have videos and just regularly updated info. And that's been really a valuable resource for our folks. And so we're still working, we're still connecting with the community. Our first priority is making sure folks have food and making sure that they have access to their meds. And so we're still doing all of that through the phones that we're connecting with, and then through our higher ground location, which is open for food distribution.
Okay. Well, that, you guys over there, I mean, one of the very first organizations, I came to Greensboro, 1997. Yeah, 1997. And one of the first organizations that I had come in contact with and actually started doing the winter walk with a friend of mine, Jesse Duncan, who worked at THP at one time. And that was my very first experience working with an LGBT community organization that's organized. Being from Galax, Virginia, we don't have LGBTQ organizations in the mountains. So that's too many letters sequenced together. So so that really was one of my experiences. I have a little kind of off script question here. If you watch the national news, and you watch CNN, no matter what outlet you're watching, unless it's NPR, even Dr. Fauci himself has compared this epidemic to the HIV epidemic of the 80s. Now, I am a 43-year-old gay man. I was born in 1976, so I was a wee boy when my fellow brothers and sisters were going through this, and the government was completely ignoring what was going on because of who it was happening to. So do you think, in your professional opinion, is there a fair comparison in between the COVID-19 pandemic that we're currently experiencing and the HIV pandemic of the 80s, and which still proceeds now with much research and thousands and millions of trillions of dollars thrown at this? They have come up with treatments for HIV. There's no cure for it yet. We still say our nightly prayers for that situation. But is there a fair comparison between the two?
I really appreciate your question. I would say that it's hard for me as someone who lives a cisgender heterosexual experience to speak on something like that. I feel like I would almost be speaking out of turn to say, to try to speak on that experience and say that it's similar, because I know that during that time period, folks who lived that experience and saw so many of their friends dying and saw people completely ignore what was going on with HIV because it was a homosexual disease. I would say that that's where there's a big divergence, because you see right now with COVID, it's not being ignored. There's vast efforts to really find a cure for this thing. All the labs have been turned their eye to it, right? And we want to find this cure. We want to find this vaccination. We want to find something to make this happen. And what we saw with HIV, I wasn't alive at the time, but what I've heard was that because this was a community that was vastly ignored, was completely marginalized because of their sexuality, people turned their back and said, we don't need to worry about this. And it took some really courageous people. Now, that's one thing I have really heard Dr. Fauci speak on, and that's been really brilliant. And I really commend the fact that he's brought that to light. but I do think that that is a difference, that, you know, right now what you see is people acknowledging that this is impacting everyone. And so we're going to focus on it. And what we saw then was, oh, it's going to take years and years and years before we're going to worry about this, because it's only impacting this part of the community that we don't really care about, because it's just this part of the community. And shame on the government for doing that. And I don't even know if there's really been a huge acknowledgement of that. I know some have acknowledged it. So I would say that's the big difference. But I do think that there are ways in which now we can turn around and say, hey, there are some connected things here. And the things I do want to point out real quick, and I know I don't want to take up all the fun time, but the stigma here, we don't want to say that, you know, with HIV, what we know now is that you can hug, you can kiss, you can do all kinds of things completely safely, and you're not transmitting that. With COVID, we need 6 feet of separation to know, you know, at least we need to keep far apart. And so we don't want to mix too far, because we don't want the stigma of HIV to be born again in this. So I don't want to connect them too deeply. But I do love that there's some public acknowledgement of the fact that those people who are on the front lines of HIV are some of the folks that now are being turned to be the front lines of COVID. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer.
Oh,
I want to
absolutely.
follow up on that though. Are you seeing from any, are you hearing personally, and this, Fuchsia, this goes for you too, but is there any like PTSD coming from people who lived through the AIDS epidemic? Just this whole like pandemic again, like are we hearing anything from our community that sounds PTSD?
You know what? You know, actually, it does. I have friends who live with HIV, and that was part of the reason that I asked that question, because those individuals don't feel that it's a fair comparison. But yeah, there is. You know, you always have, you know, those people who survived through the 80s, through the 90s. And they're still living today with HIV. They, from my understanding, some, not all, I guess it just depends upon the person, but there's what's, you know, referred to as survivor skill. And that goes with a lot of tragic things that's happened to people where people have survived through it. But I think, I don't think it would have been brought to the forefront if Dr. Fauci and the media hadn't been making this comparison. So yeah, I do feel like there's probably some old dredged up feelings from some of our more mature brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ plus community, that, you know, are probably having like, no, wait a minute, this, you know, isn't like that. But I personally, I wasn't that, like I said, I wasn't alive. I didn't experience it till well after, when there was medications already in place and treatments. I didn't experience it from myself, you know, in my face, until I was a much older individual. So, but, you know, when I heard it, I was like, what? You know, because I'm a big history person, you know, because I firmly believe if you don't know where you came from, you have no idea where you're going, and all those mistakes that were made, you're destined to repeat them. You know, I paraphrased some wise man, Churchill or something, who said something similar to that. But that is the thing. I think there is some thoughts and some old memories brought up through the comparison. I don't know if those people living with HIV feel that it's the same thing, or even similar in some cases. But I do know that there are feelings brought up from that comparison.
So Adriana, before you have to leave, I know you have another board meeting to get back to, but I have one last question about THP services. Do y'all do, I know you do testing, do you do rapid result HIV and STI testing?
So we do, you know what, I have to say mea culpa on what types of testing we exactly do. I know that we work hand in hand with our health department on getting results to people.
Okay.
And I know that what that means is that we are waiting for our HIV test results. So I don't think that what we're doing right now is getting immediate results on those tests. So I do think we wait for results, and then the health department does confirm those results. So I will say that though our health educators are our best people to call and talk to and get all of the details on exactly what types of testing we're doing and exactly what's available and when it's available, because I know there are different things available when we're out in the community doing testing and when they're doing the testing in the offices at different times.
Right.
So that being said, I could have just given a tiny bit of bad information on that too. But our health educators are the ones who are really great. Scott and Julie, when you call, you will talk to real people, and they are going to be the ones who are actually performing the tests as well. And that's what's really wonderful about it. And there's total anonymity, and everything is completely free as well, which is what's really great too.
Thank you. I was just looking at Facebook. Julie McKnight, your colleague, actually says, so she confirmed that they don't do rapid result
Thank
testing.
you, Julie. Shout out to Julie. And she's going to be on Lunch with Friends with us this coming Friday. And she's going to be talking about hepatitis C, which is something that we do hepatitis testing as well. So there's other testings in our repertoire as well. Yeah, they're the experts. I'm just out like talking with people, making community connections and engagements, and they are our health educators who can give you the whole spiel. So
awesome. Well, we'll make sure to post some resources after this as well. Yeah, we'll make sure to post resources after this as well, so that people know where to go to get tested.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Right. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you for asking me some like tough questions too, because I think those are some really wonderful things to ask. And I think that exploring them is what people need to do, and having those conversations is what's really important.
Right. Well, this ain't no kiddie show. I mean, it is. We might even play cartoons later. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, but you know, the whole point is to get the information out there. So, you know, if you need assistance, have questions, always know your status. And all of that, please reach out to THP and those beautiful folks over there that organization has been here in Greensboro for many, many years. And we want to see it around for many, many more because of the beautiful things it does for people.
Thank you. Right. Thank you guys
Thanks
so
for
much.
being here.
Thank you. You guys have a fun show. Thank you. I'll make sure to watch the rest. I'll make sure to watch the rest and hear the fun stuff that you're going to talk about next.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Board meeting. Okay.
We don't get up into people's personal.
That's right.
All right.
For joining us.
Bye.
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 Okay. Just checking, no more questions from Facebook on that. Julie, thank you for chiming in and helping us out with that. We do refer a lot of people to THP, so glad to know y'all are watching and paying attention too. So before we start answering viewer questions and questions that were submitted in advance, I am legally obligated to say that no one on this show is qualified to give advice of any kind. We don't advise you to try anything we say at home. We are providing this information for entertainment purposes only, but we also do not guarantee that you will be entertained. I mean, it just depends on the day. Everybody on board with that?
Okay. Absolutely. Don't do anything that we say. It may not be the best advice, but it sure is going to be funny as hell to hear. So.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So great questions. Okay. I'm going to ask the first one. So this is from Anonymous in Winston-Salem. Okay. Anonymous says, conversations with a longtime friend have recently changed from platonic to flirtatious, but I don't know if the spark is real or if it's a result of the 2 months I've spent alone in my house. How can I test the spark if our date requires a 6-foot social distance?
Oh, so I'm assuming that these two individuals have been separated.
Yeah, they know each other. It says longtime friend.
Yeah.
Our conversations have recently changed from platonic to flirtatious.
Okay.
How
So,
do I know if the spark is real or if it's a result of being bored and alone in my house?
my personal advice would be, since you have to, I mean, unless you're willing to, wear a mask, remember, no face-to-face contact. Things could be worked out. You could work things out if you needed to. But I would say I would probably give the advice to wait till things blow over and you can actually, meet in person and be like, what was up with these funny little things that, we're coming across. Because it very well, if there's a pre-existing friendship, you don't want to ruin that ever, because friends are like diamonds. They're precious, precious things in this world. And you never want to lose one of those over something silly like, throwing sex and getting things complicated up into the mix. So I would definitely say give it a little time, definitely play with it. If this flirtatious conversation continues on, then that can be fun too. But if things, you want to meet or, start to turn physical, I definitely would have that friend first conversation. And then, if it's someone that you've been friends with for, 10, 15 years, then you pretty well know this person. You can make that judgment. If it's been a couple of year acquaintance, then, you didn't lose much if it don't work out. But it's going to be fun. My advice is always enjoy the ride. No matter where it takes you, there's always going to be an adventure, but still be cautious.
It sounds like they can't take that ride while they're maintaining the 6-foot social distance.
Well, see, my question back would be, who started this flirtation?
That's
if it's the person who's not asking the question, then you need to ask yourself if you have these same feelings for this person, and then let them know in a polite way if you don't, or just let it roll and see what happens.
So the question says, I don't know if the spark is real or a result of the 2 months alone in my house.
Well, for that, you're going to have to wait until this is over and you're not in your house anymore.
Okay, so wait until it's done.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't go off of I'm bored. That's, like falling in that, doing that would be like going to the refrigerator for the second time in 15 minutes. Nobody's judging you, but it might not be the best idea, because are you really hungry or are you just bored? I think person might just be bored.
Okay, maybe
sexting can be fun from what I understand.
From what you understand. Okay. All right. That is advice.
Yeah.
It is. Advice has been given.
Yes, it has. Yeah, okay. I would give it a minute. I would don't make any life decisions while in quarantine.
Okay. So love in the time of quarantine is maybe not the best advice.
Right, because people are going to be, people are going to be bored and they're feeling lonely and you're emotional and that sort of thing. And emotions are a very tricky little thing that can make you believe anything that you want to. And then you can rationalize it in your head any way you want to, because I feel this. So any important decisions in life need to have feelings taken out of them, because feelings will completely mess up everything. That's just a personal philosophy. But then again, I might just be a bitter drag queen.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bitter about love. How do you take emotions out of falling in love with somebody, though, Fuchsia?
Well, you don't take the emotion out of it, but if there's a life decision that needs to be made, when it comes, even if it comes to matters of the heart, will you marry me? Well, there's going to be that's an emotional answer, yes, but that really is that's something you have to think about. That commitment is forever, or it's supposed to be forever. Forever, ever isn't even a long time without the ever.
Yeah.
So that is something, if you kind of step out of the emotional aspect of it, can you deal with that person's morning breath for the next 30, 40 years? Does them biting their nails constantly drive you crazy? Do they leave the toilet seat up? These are little bitty things that literally will end up making you bury their body parts in the backyard after 35 years. And then you're like, oh, I don't know what happened. We were so beautiful together. Were you really though? Were you really? Or did you just like, oh my gosh, he asked me to marry him and I said yes. Why? These are life decisions because you have to keep in mind, not only are you making this decision for yourself, but you're making that for the other person too.
That is advice. Some of it was good.
Thanks.
It's actually a great segue to the next question that we received. The next question was, my partner sings in the shower. I used to think this was adorable, but after 2 months of staying at home, I'm over it. How do I tell my partner that their one-person Broadway shower shows are driving me crazy without hurting their feelings?
Oh, well, I will make an assumption here, and being a gay man and a current, I would say wearing a dress, but I'm not wearing a dress. I'm wearing pants today. It's very professional. Well, I would assume if they say partner, then they're probably a gay couple. But even if they're not, if you're married to a man who sings Broadway tunes in the shower, well, it has been a long time, 35 years. Just tell them. Just be like, you know, who sings that song? And when they say
you made up 35 years, it just says my partner sings in the shower.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I heard numbers somewhere. Well, they sing in the shower. Ask them who sings that show tune. And when they answer you, you know, the answer might be Bernadette Peters, but well, let her sing it. She does a fabulous job. Or maybe, or you know, what something I would probably do was I would go to Party City when they open and you can and get one of those little metal Oscars. And every time they start singing in the shower, you just leave one of those little Tony Awards or the Oscars sitting on the side of the sink. And when they say, what is this for? You'd be like, well, you were given a Lifetime Achievement Award for your shower performances. So that's a nice way of saying that it's not that great and it's aggravating. Or just tell them. I mean, do you really like this person? You have to see more life decision. There you go.
There you
more
go.
Do you like this person? Unplug the if they don't, I don't know. Ooh. Turn the cold water on somewhere else in the house. Or turn the hot water on somewhere else in the house. And every time they start singing, doing this. And then when they mention it, tell them that God's trying to tell them something.
Okay. I think I'm going to use that one myself. Okay. All right. So let's see if we got any Facebook questions. Not yet, but people can keep them coming. Text us drop a comment in the comment sections on Facebook and we'll answer questions if
Absolutely. What
see.
do you want to know?
Yeah, what do you want to know about life and stuff?
Apple to zebra.
So I have a question that I'm going to ask, okay?
Okay.
This is my personal submitted question. My wife doesn't like that I started playing video games every day. How do I make her understand this is a way to ease my stress and boredom of staying at home during the COVID? Man, she hates it when I play video games.
Well, I think most of the general public probably have this conception that video games are played by losers and juveniles.
How dare you?
I said general public. I myself, the last video game I played, I think, was Mario 3 on something called a Nintendo 64. So I probably am not. I'm like, quit playing the damn games. Can't you find something else to do with your wife while you at home?
Yeah, that's basically what she says.
Thank you. If you want to play with a joystick, just make noise.
So video games don't have joysticks anymore. I mean, like, you're really showing your age on that one.
Sorry. Well, there's buttons you can always push things. I understand that that females have a lot of buttons that can be pushed.
Well, there are a lot of buttons in video games. So basically what I'm hearing you say is I just got to stop playing video games?
Well, not stop. Maybe somehow you get her intrigued in playing something with you and it becomes a competition. Or, you know, maybe it's the scene. You know, sorority chicks had pillow fights and played video games all the time. I'm just saying.
I don't know what sorority movies you've been watching, but I have not been watching the same ones.
Oh, All the ones I watched had Jenna Jameson in it. They weren't playing video games, but they were definitely pushing female buttons.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is a question for you, Fuchsia. What's your best skill when performing? Is it singing, dancing, or comedy?
Well, I did musical theater when I was in high school. I was always in the chorus and always in the back and sometimes told to lip sync, which was probably my training to become a drag queen. I don't sing whatsoever unless I'm very intoxicated. Now, my friends did get me very drunk one time at a place called the Palms, which used to be this little gay hole in the wall that used to sit where the baseball field sits now, or at least a portion of it. And I did the Harper Valley PTA as Miss Swan.
Oh,
I know, right? It was, from what I understand, it was hilarious. Dancing, unless it's kind of like maybe a Broadway style or freestyle, I'm really not. So I guess maybe comedy would probably be one of my stronger suits if I had to pick one of those three. I've always thought of myself as being a bit of a drama queen, but whether it's high drama, conceptual crazy stuff, literal interpretations of songs and stuff like that. But I guess comedy comes pretty much easier than dancing, and I'm not a singer at all. La, 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 la. Doe is a deer I shot last week.
What was that?
I'm sorry. I said doe is a deer. I said doe is a deer I shot last week, and Ray is a guy who pumps my gas.
Oh, I was just gonna say that your comedic skills are what makes you such a great host for all of our Green Queen Bingo events and all the other countless things that you do in our community. You are always out there. Yeah, you're always out there doing something, and we appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. People think it's funny when you point out the obvious things about life. And we have, as human beings, we have a tendency to be kind of hypocritical. And we don't like to turn that judgmental finger around on ourselves. So when you have someone like myself, or any drag queen, Miss Del Rio has made a career out of it, just literally pointing out things that people do in their daily lives, and you give it that little, twist of man in a dress, and it somehow becomes funny. I don't know. I just run my mouth. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, it is funny when you do. All right. Let's see. It doesn't look like we have any more questions from Facebook right now.
Oh no, nobody likes me.
Is it nobody likes you? Is it because it's raining and nobody wants to get on Facebook and ask drag queens questions in the rain? I don't know.
I think everyone's playing video games.
Right, video games.
Video
games. Yeah. So we'll wrap up our show if we don't have any more questions then. Unless, Fuchsia, you got anything you want to share about life with us?
Oh, you know what? All of this going on, and everything. This pandemic really does show the beautiful things that humanity has to offer each other, but it also shows the ugly things that humanity has to. I don't necessarily say offer, but that they do to one another. So, the golden rule, as I was taught growing up, is you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which is fair. But if you have people in the world who don't have, very high self-esteem, or they find themselves to be depressed or sad or lonely during times like this when they can't go out and be social, to treat that person the way that they treat themselves isn't necessarily fair. So I would say always treat people, always treat people with respect and kindness. My grandma, it's an old adage, you'll catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, or bees with honey. I don't remember. All of those Southern things, it all gets very confusing.
All of them just together.
Right. And she had a habit of putting a lot of Baileys in her coffee. So, it could all be muddled. But yeah, be kind and remember, things on social media, things that you put out into the universe, that has a connection to you. And it may be your opinion, it may be the way that you feel, and you are completely and 100% in this world have the right and the privilege and are entitled to make that opinion and make it vocal and make it known. But if you are the only person that has to come across that, especially on places like social media, postings that you may agree with, do your research, and remember that. If the overweight chick in the bathing suit during quarantine's funny, well, that's cute. But are you that overweight chick in the video? Are you the person who has slanderous racist remarks across the back of their Jeep? Why are you posting those things on social media? I feel that is just as much as spreading that propaganda as it is for that ignorant individual to actually put that on their personal property and to make that ignorant opinion that they believe in known to the world. So what we are doing is we're recycling this trash talk. And that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is eliminate and get rid of the hatred and the ugliness that we know as human beings that we can actually impel upon one another. And it gets pretty nasty. And I would say during these hard times, a lot of us may not trust our government or want to follow the leadership that's being provided, smart cookies. But nonetheless, we have to remember how our government is supposed to function from the bottom citizen to the top president. We don't have a monarchy. It doesn't work its way down the pole. It works its way up the pole because we as citizens have the power. So here, all of this, if you put this in a bowl and you mix it together, here's what I'm saying. Be kind to one another. You do unto your neighbor and to the person on their street. If they smile, smile back. If they wave, wave back. If you can extend a kindness and you have the abilities to be generous, be generous. That generosity can come in a moment of your time of listening to someone, of doing something kind. Doesn't have to be in the form of money. It can be time. It can be anything that you're doing. But remember that if all of us working together is only the way that is going to get accomplished. And the minorities in this country are not the minorities anymore. Y'all feel me? The African American, the LGBT, the Asian, all of the marginalized communities together are not a minority. They are the majority of people. And that's how we change the situations that we're in our lives right now, is because we have to make that first step and be kind and loving and understanding to each other before we can expect that to be given to us.
So Fuchsia, we're getting ready to move into phase 2 and reopen. And the more I go out, and I'm social distancing, I only go out for necessary things. And I go to my office because unfortunately with the center being closed, no one's there. But when I go to these places, people aren't wearing masks. And, we should be wearing masks. So I want to encourage everyone, if you care anything about your fellow man, put on a mask when you go out. This is not going to go away anytime soon. Wear a mask.
No,
let masks be like the new fashion trend.
And it's you see the signs on the doors and stuff like that. And folks, don't be ignorant. No one likes to wear them. They're not comfortable. They're not cute. It doesn't matter if it does have
they can be cute.
Well, they can be cute. I mean, come on now. If you got this part of your face covered up like this, that's not, well, actually, yeah, it would be. But nevertheless, I'm not going around town with these eyes painted on and nothing else. But anyhow, but yeah, do it. Don't do it for yourself. But that's exactly what I'm saying. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for someone else. And remember that it's an inconvenience. Not being able to go out with 50 of your closest friends to the bar and get completely trash faced on a Saturday night at this current time. You will wake up on Sunday morning. It's not going to kill you. Be an adult. Accept the rules in which we have made for the society in which we live in, so we all stay safe. And don't the selfishness is what really gets me. And I'm getting my Javi Firestein on here. But yeah, it's the selfishness of people. That's what not following those rules are. That's what not wearing a mask, not going out if you don't have to. Social distancing from people that you love and you miss. It'll break your heart. But no one's ever died of a broken heart. No one's ever, it's not going to kill us. It'll just, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. So all those times that you have missed will just be that much more precious to you when you get to have them.
So that's a good segue into June is Pride Month, and we're almost, can you believe it's almost June?
I know, we're almost halfway through the year.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
So Shane Lucas, first of all, he says he loves you.
Oh, thanks, Shane.
Shane wants to know if you got any music recommendations for Pride. Any suggestions?
Music recommendations for Pride?
Right? That's a broad question. So
that's a broad question. I'm an old school girl, so I would always stick with my Donna Summer, with my Gay Parthenon. The disco era was the height of the gay community. And we rocked that. From what I understand, I wasn't alive back then. I just said I only have on one glove. I'm very Michael Jackson this evening. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, there is. I would say seek out those LGBTQ DJs. I look them up on YouTube all the time, and there are some really, really talented people out there. I'm a firm believer that LGBTQ plus people were put on this earth to make things beautiful, because only we know what that means. So we create music, we create art, we create the things that other people bask upon. And it's like, oh, isn't that gorgeous? Thank you, darling. So yeah, look up those underground DJs, and make that Pride list. And when you get one, send it to me, because I'm always down for some new tune.
All right, so that's all the questions we have this week. I'm going to remind you again that we are not qualified to give advice, but we're just here because there's nothing else to do on Wednesdays.
Right. This is how I go to the teeter on Wednesdays.
Absolutely. I've seen you there, so I know this is true.
Yeah, hanging out by the frozen foods.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I'm blocking for Kitty and Crystal, who always hang out over in the fresh produce. Cucumbers. I don't understand, but I just stand guard.
So you can submit your questions in advance to askaqueen@ggfnc.org. If you want to send questions for next week's show, again, we got some great questions this week, so keep them coming. We did. I want to thank our guest, Adriana Adams with THP, who only was able to stay for the beginning part, and then she had to go back and work on a board meeting. We are glad she was able to join us. Also thank our viewers who are showing up and watching our show every week. Like, I know.
Thank you guys. Y'all are beautiful.
I know.
You really are. So, so when all this is over, we're going to have a picnic in Jennifer's backyard. Do you have a large backyard, Jennifer?
I do have a large backyard, and when it stops raining, I'm going to build a deck in it, because that's what lesbians do during quarantine.
That's right. They build things and play video games.
That is right. That's what I do.
In the lesbian movies that I've watched, that they build things, but they don't play a lot of video games. So.
Well, I mean, we all have our things, Yeah. So I'm going to be building a deck as soon as this rain is done.
Yeah.
So that's right. Backyard barbecue at my house.
Backyard barbecue at Jennifer's. Y'all go make babies. And if you can't make babies, try, because at least, it feels good.
All right. Please consider donating to Guilford Green Foundation and the LGBTQ Center, so we can continue to provide real services and programs to our community, not just this comedy, right?
Comedy. I am real. What about this is not real?
You can donate through Facebook. We're posting a link, or you can donate through the direct link to our website, also in the comments. And finally, if you need really real help, please call the LGBTQ Center at 790-8419, or email us at center@ggfnc.org. We are still here helping people, making connections, and being your source of information and support during this time for the LGBTQ community. We're here to listen, help, and serve the community. So give us a call if you need us, okay? Good night.
Good night.
Good night.